Hey, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Steve. I work at the regional market. I've been writing the recipes you've been reading recently, and today I'm going to show you how to make another one. This time it is a vegan pumpkin loaf because I'm a filthy vegetarian, but I promise it's just as good as any that uses butter or eggs. So I'm going to show you the ingredients and I'll walk you through how to make it. It's actually way simpler than you think to make a lot of baked goods vegan. So really all you need is some things to replace the sort of leavening and binding properties of eggs and butter. So today, we're gonna be using a combination of baking powder and baking soda, along with a vegan buttermilk, which is gonna be made from a plant-based milk and apple cider. Our fat is going to be coconut oil. You can also use vegetable oil. Of course, we've got all-purpose flour over here. And then for seasoning, we're making our own little pumpkin spice mix with ginger, cinnamon, and then back here we've got ground nutmeg and ground cloves. Then, of course, maple syrup. I ran out of all of my maple syrup that I bought at the market while testing this recipe, so we're just using Wegmans today. And then, of course, dark brown sugar, which I like to use in this because of the extra molasses flavor. And again, it's just like any other pumpkin bread or banana bread recipe. You want to mix the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients and then combine them, with one small exception for the vegan buttermilk. Here, I'll show you. So over here I've got my 2/3 of a cup of almond milk, and in here is 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. I'm gonna add that in and let that sit for a second, just to ferment a little bit. That is the activity that is going to leaven along with the baking powder and baking soda. It's no different than buttermilk, except we made it in about 10 minutes of sitting as opposed to however long it takes to make buttermilk regularly. Somebody at the market can tell you. All right, I'm gonna set you guys down so I can get back to cooking. I'll check in every now and then so you know what I'm up to. But hopefully we'll have a pretty decent confection by the end of this. See you in a little bit. All right, let me show you something really quick. Got our dry ingredients all measured out here. Gonna whisk those up just a little bit to keep it nice and evenly distributed. All those spices, and especially the baking powder and baking soda. We've got over here about 250 grams of pumpkin puree. Into that, we're gonna pour our coconut oil, which we've reheated, we've melted in the microwave. I made sure to melt a little bit more than I needed so I can use the rest to prepare the pan. It's also a good excuse for not knowing exactly how much solid coconut oil turns to liquid coconut oil. We're gonna add our vegan buttermilk next. And one thing you're gonna notice is that our brown sugar over here has not been added to the dry ingredients. That's because we're gonna put it into the wet ingredients. I don't know what the sort of baker reason for that, the technical reason for that is, but what I tell myself is that brown sugar, especially when it's packed like this, is going to dissolve much easier in all of this liquid than it would distribute evenly in the dry stuff. That's because of how it clumps, how wet it is. So, wet ingredients. Yeah, get in there. Go ahead. Nice. Bloop. All right. Okay, now allow me to spin your attention over to the finished batter. So as you can see, it's pretty light and fluffy. You'll certainly feel it if you make it for yourself. It's almost like a mousse. You can already tell there's a lot of air being worked in there. That's the soda, the baking soda and the baking powder activating in the presence of that acid. Now I'm gonna come over here and using this little pastry brush, dip it into the remainder of the coconut oil and prepare my baking pan. Baking pan? Loaf pan. It's called a loaf pan. Just making happy little trees. Okay, see you in a little bit. So that guy's gonna be in the oven at 350 for 20 minutes, then we're gonna turn him around, give him another 20 minutes, let him cool. The other thing that's great about vegan baking, you can eat the batter. All right, my alarm just went off, so it's time to rotate. Ooh. Cold out here, hot in there, foggy glasses. And while I've been waiting for that to bake off, I've been over here working on a little glaze. This is really simple to make. This is just a cup of powdered sugar that I've sifted through a bar strainer just to avoid any clumping, along with a few tablespoons of that same almond milk and that same maple syrup and a pinch of salt. Now, I'm gonna do a couple more things to this glaze that you might find a little bit weird, but I like to do for flavor. I'm gonna add just a little bit more apple cider vinegar, and then just a singular drop of toasted sesame oil. Now, this is to kind of complement those caramelly, nutty notes that you get in dark maple syrup and also in a lot of the spices we added to the loaf. Hopefully, if it works out, hopefully it works out. I'll let you know if it doesn't. Try it yourself or try some other flavorings. See what you like. All right, so the pumpkin bread has had time to cool in the pan and then on the rack. Then I doused it with the glaze, and the glaze has just about set up. So I'm gonna pull it off, put it on the cutting board, and get some photos. And here she is, the finished product. Not bad. Nice little sheen on there. Let's get a slice. Anyway, thanks so much for watching me make lunch, afternoon tea. If you like the recipe, I'm sure it'll be on Instagram. It's definitely going to be in our newsletter. So head over to the CNY RMA website to sign up for that. And stop by the Welcome Center, say hi. If you test out the recipe, let me know what you think. And you can pick up next week's while you're there. That's all I got.